Good morning and welcome to It's How You'll Be Remembered. I am Julie Jones, your host and the Chief Encouragement Officer here at Today's Professionals. And I want to welcome you today because I am solo. I usually do interviews with really cool people, but today I'm going to debrief with you the last month that I've had, really because I am a processor. I have to process information and process events. I'm not really good at making quick decisions, but I need to think about things. So that's something that I'm working on. But I wanted to process with you today because I want to hear how you go to events. I want to hear why you go to events, what you get out of them. So if you are catching this live, please be sure and say hello in the comment section, and let me know about, as we go through this discussion, let me know what you are thinking. I want to hear from you today. So I talk a lot about evolution and growth. I talk a lot about I'm in my late third to early fourth quarter of life, and as I reflect on my life, the experiences that I've had, the lessons that I've learned, and where am I supposed to go now? And so rather than just say, oh, I'm at the end, I'm going to quit, I'm really diving into what impact can I have? What hope and encouragement can I give to somebody who may have had similar experiences with me as I did in my life? And so I am really diving into this season of life. And so over the past, I guess, month, I've had an opportunity to attend several events. And so a lot of people have reached out to me and go, man, you are everywhere. How are you doing it? And I'm just like, well, I don't know how I'm doing it. I just doing it. And I'm exhausted right now. But I've had some wonderful experiences, and I believe that it has been transformational for me. So let me share what I've gone through, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your life has been like when you go to events. So I went to 3 conferences and then one event, like a lunch and learn over the past month. And the first one was with Tom Ziglar. And with Ziglar Coaches Summit. And they had some amazing speakers there that talked about business and how to grow your business, how to be a better coach. But when you go to an event, you go hopefully with an open mind, but you go to an event, to hear something, to learn something. And so everybody walks away with something different. And as a speaker, I know that I have been giving this amazing presentation that I've just really put my heart and soul into. And somebody will come up to me afterwards and go, oh my gosh, I loved it when you said this. And it really helped me. And you can see them take what I said and really dive into, how it's a linear process for them. They've come to a conclusion or an inspiration or something like that. But in reality, I didn't say that, but they heard what they needed me to say. And that's what I've found happened in these 4 events that I've attended over the last month. And so the Ziglar Coaches Summit was really spectacular. Good morning, Linda. I'm so glad that you are here. I know you've been at least one of these events, and so I'm glad you're here. I want to hear your takeaways as well. But back to the speakers, there were a ton of speakers that were fantastic, and I took a lot of notes. But the speaker that landed with me the most was Tom Ziglar, and because he's been on a life health journey. And you know that in Choose to Win, we focus on the wheel of life, and we talk about the balance of life, and we talk about how you always have to, the fastest way to success is to replace bad habits with good habits. And so we look at what areas do we have bad habits in, and how can we grow and continue in this, the wheel of life. But he talked about his health journey. And so he's over the past few years, he's really focused on his health. He's lost a lot of weight. He's been working out, and he's It's been a struggle. And of course, he's an avid reader. And so I think he told me one time he reads like a book a week, which I'm just amazed at. And so but he learns a lot. And so he had Dr. Philip Avadia on, and they had a great discussion about stay off my operating table. So Dr. Avadia is a cardiac surgeon, and he helps people redefine and improve their metabolic health. And so he's worked with Tom, and Tom's worked with a couple of doctors. And so he brought him on to talk about metabolic health and things that we should do. And I don't think Tom shared this at the summit, but maybe in my previous conversations with him, he shared with me that when he got to a certain point, and he may have said this on a coaching call, he got to a certain point and he couldn't lose any more weight. Like, he lost a significant amount, was feeling better and was doing all the things, but his body was just like, okay, we're done. We're not going to lose any more weight right now. And so one of his doctors said, why don't you do a little fast? Just implement a little fast. So it was a 36-hour fast. So you would basically eat dinner one night, and then the next day you wouldn't eat. And then you would eat again the following day, I don't know, mid-morning or something. And so he just implemented that, which he said wasn't as difficult as he thought, because he was eating whole foods. He was high protein. And so he's not as hungry. And so, because he's eating the right foods that are fueling his body the way that his body needs to be fueled. And he started losing weight again. And I think he dropped another, 20 or 30 pounds in the next season of this health journey. And so this really resonated with me, the health part of this. And so, 30 minutes of intentional movement a day. And so he defines that, as part of Ziglar, we write out our goals and we define our goals, right? Because it's not really a goal unless you write it down. And so he wrote it down, and I want to define what 30 minutes of intentional movement looks like. And so he wrote that down. And sometimes his intentional movement, if he's traveling, might be 10 minutes a day. It might be, I'm just going to go do something for 10 minutes, but he's moving intentionally. And then his diet now is whole foods, high protein with, I think mostly vegetables. I don't know all of his diet, but it's whole foods. He cut out the processed foods, and probably sugar, to be honest with you. And he's really just transformed his health. And so this whole journey that he shared resonated with me, because I'm thinking I need to also be doing this. And so I have been. I've just not been as consistent. So I haven't done the replace the bad habit with good habits, so that I am no longer doing the bad habits, right? And so I came home, and that Sunday I went to the movies, and I ate popcorn, and I drank a Coke, and I ate some M&Ms. And I came home and I thought, I just went to the Ziglar Summit. I heard Tom talk about this health journey, and what am I doing? I'm still in my bad habits. So I got to replace the bad habit with a good habit. And so clearly the diet is something that I need to work on. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do a little fast. I'm going to do his little 36 fast. That would be a good reset for me. I ordered some healthy foods to be delivered the next day. And so that my pantry and my refrigerator would be stocked with whole foods. And I did the walking, and I'm going to do intentional movement. And I did. But that 36-hour fast became a 3-day fast. And I've never intended to do that, because, in my mind, I can't do a 3-day fast. That's not for me. But for some reason, as part of the wheel of life, I've been working on my spiritual wheel. And I've been reading a lot about the power of prayer with fasting. This is new for me. I mean, at my age of life, I've never really looked at prayer and fasting together, but it's biblical. And so for some reason, I think there's divine guidance here. When 36 hours came and I woke up the next morning, I thought, I'm going to keep going. And so I did a 3-day fast. And what that looked like is I had C-suite synergy in the middle of it. And so I had to go to C-suite synergy and not eat. And I just had to decide in my head, you know what? I'm in the middle of this fast. I'm not going to eat. And I didn't. And it wasn't as hard as I thought. It wasn't, because I set my mind to it. And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to reset my gut. And my functional doctor has told me before, the 3-day fast is what really resets your gut. It's really good for you to do it occasionally, a 3-day fast. And so I did it. Now, I did not go to my doctor and get approval, which most people would probably say, well, that was dumb. And probably, but I mean, obviously I'm still here, and I drank the water and the hydration. I had the salt in the water, and I did all the things that I was supposed to do. But, and I thought it was a good thing. But that was what I took away from that conference, was that one thing that I took from there that I implemented, that I remembered and implemented, because it helped me be better in my life. So, thank you to that. Thank you, Tom, for sharing your health journey. And he's pretty open about it too, about his health journey, because he wants everyone to understand that you can do it. It takes steps to do it. The second event that I went to, I worked with Karen Gray, my good friend Karen Gray. And I worked on the Texas Business Women's Annual Conference. Now, this is an amazing group of women, professional women, who came to Dallas. We were in Flower Mound, and I actually got to help plan this. And that in itself was a huge learning event for me. I did not know how to plan events. And so I really felt like I was lost in it. Now, I'm a worker bee, and I can do things. You tell me what to do, I can go and do that. But to sit up at this, level of, we're going to get and plan this event. It was interesting, and it was fun, and I learned a lot from it. I also had the honor of taking the stage and being on stage, which was fun for me. And but there were some amazing speakers. So the whole point of this conference was to help us see that we all have value. We have gifts and talents, and we have a purpose. And so we wanted to bring out the best. We want people to understand that you have a purpose, and that you belong in every room, and that you are special. But that sometimes that means that you recognize your strengths, but you also need to know who needs to be around you. We need to build your hive. So we built our hive while we were there, of how we surround ourselves. Doris Slay Barber, who is a former past state president and former educator. She used to actually work with teachers and principals, and she would teach them. She also is a honeybee person. She has a business where she produces honey. And what was interesting is the whole conference title was Dare to Be You. So it was a bee theme, which was really cool. So it was all sunflowers and bees. It was a fun, lighthearted theme. But Doris opened it up, and she talked about the roles of the bees in the hive, and how each one has a strength and they have a role. And she related that to female entrepreneurs and businesses, and the strength of tapping into your strengths, that how you can accomplish great things. It was amazing. She kicked us off, and then we had the amazing Suzanne Castle, Brandy Shade, and Yusra Khan talked about strength finders, and we got to do our own strength finders assessment. We had Nigel Fisher was a speaker. She was amazing. Bunny Young came in from California and just was fantastic. And then, of course, Karen, tied it all up with a bow and brought us home with her amazing address. What a fabulous soul cup filling weekend that was. It was just great to be in the room. We partnered with the International Association of Women and the Dallas Fort Worth chapter. We did a networking event, because we want people to know that we are separate organizations, but we all have the same intent, which is to lift each other up. And so we did a networking event, and it was just a fabulous weekend. Elizabeth de Moraes was our MC, and she, of course, is a true professional, beautiful inside and out, and she kept it all going, tied it all together so beautifully. And then we had DJ Ray, who kept the party going with his amazing music. I'm going to probably mispronounce this, Naibuki Convent. Thank you. I'm so glad you're watching us from Kenya. What an honor. Thank you so much for being here. I want to hear about events that you've attended. Do you attend events and even virtual events? Events are always important. I think for me, the TBW was that event for me. The takeaway was the overall planning of it. And then I, of course, was organizing and behind the scenes running it, making sure people were where they were. We had some amazing volunteers who came and said, hey, we want to help. They took ownership of registration and the vendors. They helped with our vendors, and then they helped with the raffles. We could not have done it. The swag bags, the setup, we could not have done this without all the volunteers and the amazing women in Texas Business Women. This was a fabulous conference. But I think too, getting to be on stage at that conference was just a sheer honor. And I shared intentional conversations, be intentional, because this is what I do, but it's also a journey of mine, is to be a better communicator. And to have conversations intentionally. And so that was a huge takeaway for me. What a great learning experience. And thank you, Karen Gray, and all of the women of Texas Business Women for allowing me to do that. The third event that I attended right after that, Bill Walsh was in town for a CEO summit. And if you know him, he's a brilliant businessman and strategist. And so I went to that event with him, and he said, hey, you want to open us up? I had not planned to do that. I just was like, sure. Because the one thing Bill has taught me is that you have to say yes. And that sometimes you can't be totally prepared, but you got to say yes. You got to get up there. And so I had the honor of opening up for him and introducing him, bringing him on. And then he, over lunch, he really just poured into us about business strategies and how we can grow our businesses. He's brilliant. And so the takeaway from that is be ready and say yes. And when you work with him, you always have to be ready and say yes. And then I ended up that week and my last 30 days with eWomen Network, the Success Summit. Sandra Yancey came and poured into us. This was her final stop of the year. And she's been traveling around the country, and she shared very transparently her story of her vision for eWomen. She started it back in I think the early 2000s, 25 years ago or so. It may have been in the late 1900s, but she had this idea, and she talked about just doing the little things, like doing it all to put it together. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They have a vision and they just put it together piece by piece. And then she shared the stages of how we grow our businesses. And she also, as a mom, talked about just a couple of years ago, maybe even a year ago, her daughter, who I believe is late 20s or so. She's young, gorgeous, beautiful lady, had a health crisis. And she was out of town, and her husband called her and said, you got to get home. There's an issue here. And how she just had to get home. She was at an event, how she had to gracefully say, I've got to go, and how she had to get a ticket changed, and how she had help and maybe a little divine guidance on getting home. And as she walked into the hospital to see her daughter on life support, and with a 1% chance of living. But you know what? With 1%, there's a chance. There's a chance. And so with prayer, guidance, and strength, she shared the moments of how life is not easy, and starting a business is not easy, but you just keep going, because when you have a vision, It's there for a reason. Something's been put on your heart for a reason. And so she's a woman of faith, and she just keeps going. She just keeps going. She takes whatever life hands her, and she just goes on. And so she has this vision, and she's an amazing, remarkable speaker and a woman entrepreneur. And Tony Caruso, who's the managing director for the North Dallas Plano chapter, put this together beautifully. And coming off of Texas Businesswomen and watching how Tony was so organized and how she did things, my big takeaway was stay strong, keep the faith and just keep going, and then be organized, and really lean into the people around you to help you. It just was amazing. The entire week, the entire month was just one thing after another, of just knowledge. And the takeaways were, the speakers were amazing. And yes, I came home and implemented something from every one of them. Implementation. When you go to an event, you have to walk away with one thing that you're going to do. You're going to take one habit and you're going to replace it with something new, a bad habit with a good habit, or you're going to do something new, or you're going to keep the faith. You're going to keep going. You're going to find someone to help you. Whatever it is, you got to come home and implement. But the main thing is being in the room with all of the amazing people. If I go back to the Ziglar Coaches Summit, just being a part of the family. I mean, wow, I've seen most of the coaches on Zoom calls. And so to be able to see them in person and to get a hug, it just felt like I was home. It just felt so good to be there and to go and have coffee with other coaches and hear what they're doing. It's just amazing. And then at Texas Businesswomen, just stand and watch all of the women networking and building their hive. I mean, we had everyone from a recent college graduate up to retired professionals and educators there that were all talking and saying, tell me about this organization. Tell me about you. What was it like to be a past president? What was it like to be an entrepreneur? What was it like to be an educator? Tell me. And the room was abuzz, pun intended, with all of the people who are finding their strengths and their roles and saying, who do I need to surround myself with? It was amazing to watch. It was amazing to be a part of. It was just fantastic to be there. The vendors were amazing, and the people on the committee were amazing. And watching Karen, I mean, it was just amazing. And Elizabeth, it was amazing. And then, to go to the Bill Walsh deal and watch him walk in and just deliver. These are business strategies that you need to know. If you're not doing this in your business, you need to know it. Just to watch that and to hear that message. And I've been to these before with him, but every time I go, I get something new. And to be a part of that was an honor. And then to go to the eWomen Summit and just hear Sandra just talk about the story of how she built eWomen. And just, things that she did in the beginning. eWomen was 25 years ago. We didn't even have internet like we do now. And she's trying to build, an electronic organization where people connect online. And we didn't even have the technology then, but she had a vision. And so she made it work. And then as technology grew, she grew. And just to hear that she has life issues too. She's a person too. And then to watch Tony just organize and orchestrate this beautiful thing, which she just sold out this restaurant, and it was just beautiful to watch. And my takeaway there came home was just, man, I'm on the right path. I've just got to do what I've got to do and keep going. We all go through these transitions of life, right? And so I think that's been mine. I've been on this spiritual journey, and there was a common thread of divine guidance and intervention through all of the events that I attended. And, watching the women, meeting new people, connecting with people on LinkedIn and through emails and getting on each other's calendars has been amazing. But I think my big takeaway is, over the past few years, if you know me, you know that I've gone through a lot of loss in the past few years. And I remember sitting here, just one night, just realizing I am alone. I am alone. My family's all gone, and I'm probably going to cry. Didn't want to do that. But the past month, I realized I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm a member of amazing organizations, surrounded by people who are cheerleaders, who are encouragers, who speak truth with love. And I have a new family. It's not my nuclear family. I mean, and I still have my kids, but you know what I mean? I used to be the baby of the family, and now I'm not. Now I'm in a new role of, being the matriarch of my family. And so it's different. And so this process of transition and change has been an experience. And that is why I think I'm so passionate at letting you know that you're not alone, that you can reinvent yourself no matter how old you are. You're never too young. You're never too old. You are always on time. And that is, but you have to live life. You can't let life happen to you. You have to get in the game. You have to roll up your sleeves. You have to learn new skills. You have to evolve. You have to get up every morning with intention and purpose. You have to surround yourself with mentors and a new community of extended family where you can walk into a room and feel like you're home. And so my hope, my encouragement to you today is that if you're listening to this video and you have gone through a life change and you feel like this is not where I thought I would be. When I was young, I used to look at my life and I thought I would be somewhere different. Or if you have gone through some losses and you don't really know how to process the grief, I want you to know that you are surrounded by people who love and care for you. And you have to look at who's coming into your life right now, because everyone that comes into your life right now is there for a reason and a purpose. And so they're there to lift you up. They're there to provide encouragement and support and love to you, and maybe even speak truth to you with love. Maybe it's not something that you want to hear, but it is truth with love. And so who you surround yourself with right now, at any point in your life, I don't care what stage you are, who you surround yourself with is important, and building community. But in order to meet the people that you need to meet, you have to get out. You have to go to events. You have to write a check, and that was kind of a 1900s thing, wasn't it? You have to get out your card. You have to swipe your card. You have to go online and order online, because you have to get in the game. Life, the one constant thing in life is that it's going to change, and you're going to change, and you're going to grow, and you're going to evolve. And the way that you do that is up to you. It's up to you. You have to be intentional. And so if this spoke to you and you're like, I need to know how to dive into myself, I need to peel back the layers and get to know myself and find my strengths, what I would encourage you to do is to send me a message or comment me, and I will send you a link to a free event that's coming up July 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's a lunch and learn each day, 12 to 1. But it is an overview of how you can get to know yourself, how you can be a better communicator, and how you can show up differently. Because it doesn't matter what life happened, we all go through life. We all have things happen to us, but our journey keeps going. And so you've got to roll up your sleeves and get in the game. And you've got to change with life as life changes. And so your past brings you to who you are today, but it does not define you. And so if you are interested in coming to this free event, it's 3 lunch and learns, July 7th, 8th, and 9th. Let me know. Seats are limited, but it is free. So it's already starting to get registration. So let me know if you want in. I'll be happy to send you that link, because as I'm going through the changes in my life that I'm going through, I want to link arms with people who are coming behind me, because I've linked arms with people who are where I want to be. And I've looked up to them and said, I want to go with you. And they've linked arms with me. All the people that I've mentioned to you so far, and these events that I've attended, and these organizations that I'm part of, I've linked arms and they're lifting me up. And so what I want to do is, if you feel like you're looking up at me going, you have changed, you've gone through these changes, you're evolving. I want to know how you're doing it. I'll link arms with you, because that's what we're supposed to do. So let me know if you want the link. I'll be happy to send that to you. But send me a message or comment me. And I'll leave you with this. You know, life, Zig Ziglar says, reaching your goals in life is not as important as who you become or what you become in the process of reaching your goals. It's an evolution, and you're never too old or never too young to start. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week on It's How You'll Be Remembered.